In this tutorial, we're going to fold a cursed square twist. Now, I call this twist cursed because we actually do need to pre-crease a little bit, but I'm going to show you a shortcut so you don't have to pre-crease all of the lines that are going to be folded in the final twist. Now, this twist is part of the Summer of Twist series of twist tutorials, and I do recommend starting with some of the earlier square twists in the series before attempting the cursed square. You can see the Summer of Twist playlist down in the description, and you can also sign up for weekly reminders as these videos are released at training.gatheringfolds.com/summer. So let's dive into this cursed square twist. I'm using an 8-fold square grid, which means there's 8 divisions from top to bottom, left to right. If you're unfamiliar with this grid, definitely check out the Summer of Twists welcome video. And for the cursed square twist, I'm going to identify, and I'm going to use blue for valley, red for mountain. I'm going to identify a particular grid square that's going to have valley folds all the way around it, just like this grid square in the middle here. This will be one of the 4 grid squares around the center point. And now I'm going to sketch on just the folds that we need to fold in advance in order to get this twist. So these are going to be mountains diagonally from the corner of the square, diagonally across an adjacent face of the square, and then making a right angle turn and coming around, kind of around the corner of the square. And I'm going to make those same lines on all 4 corners of my square, like so. And like we were seeing a moment ago, there's going to be additional folds through here, but it turns out that we don't need to have those right away. They can come during the folding process. So the easiest way to pre-crease these, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 folds that are very specific from point to point, I can bring up the line, kind of making a Y out of these right angle corners. And I'll go ahead and draw that on for all 4 of them. So I can have that Y coming out, and I can pinch that as a mountain, and then at the corner, drop that same grid line down as a valley, which lets me fold both of these segments at the same time. And notice I'm being very careful to make sure that these are at 45-degree angles relative to the grid, that I'm starting at a grid intersection and ending at a grid intersection for both of them. And once that's in place, I can lay it down and use the bone folder to crease securely. So since this is what's actually going to be happening during the folding, this is probably a more precise method also. So then I can do that for all 4 sides. So bringing up the extension as a mountain, as I'm passing the intersection of mountains, that grid line becomes a valley, and I make sure that these diagonals are going straight to the next grid intersection, and I can lay that down and crease both of them at once with my bone folder. And again, and once more. And now it's time to start collapsing. So the important thing with this twist is that our valley folds, so we're going to have valley folds parallel to the mountains as they exit the twist, and just like with all our other twists, those are going to be coming out so that our pleat, that space between the mountain and valley, is in line with the central square. That's what makes it so difficult to fold. And so with those valley folds, what we want to do, and this is my original orientation, I want to have everything around the central square kind of down in the valleyness of it, and let those intersections of mountain folds come up towards the top. And if you've been following me in the series, you'll know this isn't the whole story of the crease pattern, because for this twist to lay flat, I need to have 3 of one kind of fold and 1 of the other at any particular intersection, or 5 of one and 3 of the other. It needs to be different by 2. And so in here we have 3 valleys and 1 mountain. That should be okay. But with these 3 mountains, we're going to also need a valley. So as we have that pulled together, we need to emphasize those valley folds. And so we're folding over each of our pleats, laying things down flat, and it's causing some new creases in the middle, which we can press firmly and use the bone folder to press very firmly. And now when we open up, we see some new diagonal creases that have been added. And specifically, we've got valleys coming from these 3-way intersections of mountains. We also have valleys in here. And there's another bit of mountain on each of these segments also. So this can look rather confusing when you're looking at it in a crease pattern, but what's going on is we've got these pleats coming in that have these kind of Y intersections of mountains that then is circling around that grid square. So let's take a quick look at this crease pattern from the back as well. Here, all the valleys have been turned to mountains and the mountains have been turned to valleys. So I have mountain folds. I'm going to double check. Yeah, mountain folds extending all the way out to there. And that would be the next direction out here. It's a little bit harder to see from the other side of the paper. And from a pleat perspective, we're actually seeing the exact same pleats going on in here. But so this is one of those weird twists that has kind of a front form and a back form that could be folded interchangeably on the same pleats. Another reason why I call it cursed. And okay, so that's what's going on in there. And I should mention from the back side, this is what the twist looks like. So whether this is back or front is kind of a matter of debate. But we've got all of these little folds that are outside of the grid lines that are making it happen. So from what I call the front side, the side that's easiest to see how it goes together, this is what's happening. And from the back, we can see that central square is now in mountains instead of in valleys. That's how you can tell in a crease pattern which side you're on. And there's our cursed square twist. So if you'd like to learn more about the cursed square twist, definitely check out the longer tutorial where I show kind of why we would ever want to fold this. It solves some symmetry puzzles. And also check out the rest of the Summer of Twists videos. There's a whole playlist with these shorter twist tutorials and the longer tutorials as well. The cursed square also shows up in my advanced twist technique course, which you can find a link to down in the description. Happy folding! See you in the next video.